this album?
It was a lot more fun than the third album, and we did it over a period of a year and a half, like popping in and out to the studio when it was convenient for a couple of weeks. But like, it didn't take us a year and a half. We probably spent about 4 months in the studio, but at different points.
Yeah, it was kind of on and off. We just took our time and made sure we were happy and just relaxed with everything, rather than kind of rushing in and just, you know, getting stuck into it for 2 months and then that was it and going out on tour again, you know. So we took our time with it and enjoyed ourselves.
It's a very upbeat sort of album. Is that an indication of where you are in your life right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've all kind of gone through our tough times and our at the point where you realise you're kind of famous and you're in the public eye so much. We took a career break for 2 years then, and the guys got married, I had a baby, we just started to live normal lives again, which was really beautiful, you know. Ironically enough, it's the simple things that are the magical things in life, you know. So a lot of the songs are really quite happy, and they're just about the simple happy things.
What sort of advice would you give a young girl, oh, it doesn't have to be a girl, a young kid wanting to get into the business?
Don't trust anyone.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful because, you know, people will do anything. People will tell you that they love you, you know. You might even get into relationships thinking that they're loving relationships, but they might be just based on money. So you got to be really careful. But I think, you know what, it's really no point in giving advice because you can only learn these lessons through life, you know. Because people probably told us, we'd probably ignore them.
Every band's story is different, you know. We can only say what we've been through, so, you know, other bands might have different problems, so.
When did you realise you'd become celebrities? Was there any sort of incident that made you realise, now I'm a famous person?
I think there was a few different incidents. I think one of the big incidents was we were playing in Washington, D.C., and we were expecting about 3,000 people to turn up to the gig, but 15,000 turned up. It was a free concert in the park, and our first song, or the second song, it was Linger anyway, and we were just into the first chord or something, and they stormed the stage, and we had to run, and we were taken away in police cars and security vans and whatnot, and they stole guitars and stuff, so it was on CNN News then and stuff that night, so it was like, oh, we're famous.
Riot, Cranberries caused riot in Park or something like this. The headline.
Whoa, was that on? You know, that kind of thing.
Was that sort of scary or was it fun?
We were laughing.
It was fun at the time. It was a good laugh. We were just a bunch of giddy heads, you know, running, like, you know.
I couldn't believe it was happening kind of thing. It was a good laugh.
What's the funniest thing about your career or your profession?
Funny, peculiar, like?
Yeah, funny, peculiar.
There's lots, really. Lots of, you know, just, it's kind of a bit of an unreal world at sometimes.
Yeah, and
hard to get a grip on that.
I think what's funny as well, and ironic, is that it looks really glamorous, you know, being on stage and all that. Yeah. But it's a lot of hard work as well.
I think that's the biggest
living in buses and hotels is hard work.
People say, oh, must be great, you know, you get to travel the world and you get to see all this and that. And, you know, it is great, but it's, you know, once you've done it once or twice, it kind of, that appeal goes out of it, and it's kind of, here we are again and doing this again, you know. The best part of it is being on stage playing. That's the nicest part. The rest of it is just, you know, you kind of have to be there.
What's the funniest or most peculiar thing a fan has ever done?
A fan? I think try to become a member of your family. Getting involved with more than yourself, with your parents, with your kids and your husband and stuff, you know, writing letters to the rest of your family. That's pretty strange.
What's the best and worst thing about being in the Cranberries?
The best thing is making the music and performing. And the worst thing is that, you know, there's a line that you have to stop at, a line whereupon you have to call it one and go home, and sometimes you don't always see it when you get to that line. Sometimes you go over it and you realise that, you know, you've overworked or something. But I think that at this stage we've learned our lesson.
Yeah, I think the more you do it, the more you get used to it, and you learn when to step back and take a break and say, okay, we're stressed out or we're overworked or whatever.
What about your last tour in Australia and what stands out to you? Was that where you had the accident?
Yeah, yeah. And I remember the accident, but I remember, ironically enough, another one of the funny things is that, like, when you're in a band and you have nice clothes, the only time you get to wear the clothes is when you're working on stage, right? And the only time you don't get to go out and do things outside of the band, right? So when I wrecked up my leg, yeah, then we had to stay for another 3 or 4 or 5 days because I was seeing a physiotherapist and I had to have it all wrapped up and I couldn't fly straight away. So after the leg snapped, we went to this restaurant. There was one in particular we went to for about 3 nights in a row. We ate crocodile and all this stuff, and I just remember we had such a great time. Barnacle Bills or something it was called. Do you know that restaurant?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually got to experience the culture because I wrecked my leg, because then we got to go out and we didn't have to do gigs every night. So that was one of the fun things. I mean, even though the leg accident was bad in Australia, good things came out of it. You know, we got to eat crocodile and we didn't eat it, we tasted it. Like this, and kangaroo, we tasted that too.
What was that like?
He liked the kangaroo, I liked the crocodile. Chicken, squid.
Kind of, yeah, fishy chicken kind of thing.
And speaking of injuries, you did have a big accident in Finland some years ago, and this goes to Finland.
France.
Oh, he was in, Val d'Isère,
really?
Yeah.
in the south of France, yeah.
Okay. What's the biggest misconception about you?
That we're difficult, like, as far as the media portray us, we're difficult artists. But we're not, we're just honest.
Does that irritate you, or do you take it with a grain of salt?
Take it with a pinch of salt at this stage of the game, you know. I think it used to irritate us before.
Yeah, when you start off, you kind of take everything personally, you know, when someone bitches about you. But
And in a way, like, you can early start believing what you read, you know, like, oh, she's a bitch, or, you know, they're a really weird band, or success has gone to their heads. You know, I think people say that about everybody who gets successful. It's kind of a bit of a cliche on their behalf. But I think, yeah, we've learned to take it all with a pinch of salt now. I think, yeah, we've been doing it for so long, and we're nearly 10 years together. This is our 4th album, not our 1st. I think if we were going to go mad, we would have done it by now.
Yeah.
I think we've gone as mad as we're going to get. I hope, anyway. So I don't think any of us is going to become major heroin addicts or anything like that, you know. So. But I think as well, you know, we're all with the same lovers for a long time, you know. I'm 5 years married. Ferg's with his girlfriend 7 or 8 years. Noel's with his girl maybe 8 years. Mike's with his girl maybe 9 years. And I think, like, those are the people who kind of keep you in line. The people, your lover, your husband, your wife. They're the ones who kind of, they'll know if you're turning into an asshole. And apparently we haven't, so it's good.
What sort of things do you do after a show? I mean, the fact that you're all sort of in domestic, happily married, or living with someone, or what sort of things do you do? Do you still go out after the show, or do you sort of...
What we usually do is get together in the dressing room, have a chat about it, and see how everyone felt about the gig, and have a few drinks, just unwind or whatever. We haven't toured in 2 years, so that might all change now.
Yeah.
Might be playing tiddlywinks and drinking tea and stuff like that, 'cause we're all very settled.
Yeah.
What sort of music do you listen to?
Bit of everything, you know, from, like, I guess, classical, rock, pop, alternative, man, and just lots of different things.
Yeah, open-minded about whatever.
What do you think you'd be doing if your career hadn't taken off?
I would say babies.
Music,
I'd have babies, though, as well.
Yeah.
Definitely something to do with music. But I'd have babies. You'd have babies, too, wouldn't you?
Just keep reading.
Keep reading and enjoy life, you know, whatever it may be.
Like rabbits.
How would you feel about your child going into the business? Is that something you'd encourage or discourage?
I wouldn't care what he did once, you know, he became a strong young man. I wouldn't care whether he became a farmer or a doctor, a fisherman or a singer, once he didn't become, into drugs or into the darker side of life. Once he kept his ground in reality and he was happy being what he was, I couldn't care what he does. I love him anyway, you know. Doesn't matter.
Do you remember what posters you had on the wall when you were a child?
Duran Duran. Aha. Aha.
Yeah.
Nick Kershaw.
Nick Kershaw, I had him.
That's the big one.
I think I had Wet, Wet, Wet for a while. That's all I could think of.
Cure.
Cure was later on. Later on when we got to teenagers,
Yeah.
16, whenever the Cure go on the wall and your mother gets concerned because it's from good-looking nice boys to these things with black eyes and black lipstick, and your mother's wondering what's happening. You know, you go through your different phases.
I've just gone blank, sorry. What was I just going to say before you did that? Sorry. What do you do in your spare time? If you have any spare time?
I try to spend my spare time with my husband and my son. You know, doing things like just going out for dinner, or you know, going out for like we took him today and we went to see the bubble man. He was making huge bubbles on the beach, and he was catching the bubbles. And I think we're taking him to probably Universal, and I like going to kiddie restaurants and stuff like that. It's a good laugh.
You're in one of the most sexist industries in the world. How do you sort of deal with that? Or have you not had much experience with that, do you think?
I think I haven't had much experience with it because I don't provoke it. I don't dress that way, and I don't talk about my personal life, you know. It's my business. I don't talk about what goes on between me and my husband. It's nothing to do with anybody. So I think if you talk about your sex life, and if you wear kind of, if you want to be treated like a sex thing, you can dress like one and act like one. But if you want to be treated like respectably, you create your own perception. You know, I think so. I've never really had any hassle with it.
Was there any sort of moment in your life where you knew you were going to be a performer? Did you have any sort of role model, or did you know? Was it like just a gradual?
Yeah, it was kind of a gradual thing, you know. When we started off first, we were all really, really nervous on stage, like just basically stare at the ground, and that was it. And it's a gradual thing. The more you do it, the more confidence you get, and you learn to enjoy it rather than be afraid of it, you know.
Is there anything we asked you? What movies have you seen that you liked recently?
I waited to see Titanic till Thanksgiving Day, and it was in the hotel. We were staying in New York, and I watched it because, like, when movies come out and there's loads and loads of hype, I never watch them because it's the trendy thing to do. So then afterwards, I watch it, and I thought it was a nice movie, actually, you know. I thought it was nice.
Virgil?
I'm doing the Martin Scorsese one about the Dalai Lama. It's fantastic. I thought it was really, really beautiful.
Video performances yet?
Yeah, we've already done it.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Yeah, we already made the video for our promises. We made it in Paris, and we made it with a guy called Olivier Dahan, and he made the Salvation video. He has a great kind of satirical sense of vision, you know. He has, yeah, he's kind of cool. He's got a good thing going on.
And do you have much input into the video process?
Yeah, I collaborate with the director on my vision, and he will elaborate on a vision that I have, and between the two of us then we'll come up with a concept, and then we'll make the video.
Is there a particular way that you work, or is it always sort of different with each album, or how does it normally work?
It's quite different with each album. Like sometimes the guys get music together with Noel.
Yeah. Like if we go to a room and Noel will have some chords, he start playing, and then we kind of join in, play around bits and pieces, and send the tape to Dolores.
And then I get the tape, and I listen to the tape in different environments, like one song in particular. What was it again? Just My Imagination. I remember that song. It was nice because I had this music, and I was just walking down a country road all the time, every day, and all I could see was animals at either side, no cars, nothing, just animals in the countryside. And I wrote Just My Imagination because I think that you can really reflect when you're in a peaceful environment. You can reflect on anything, and you can say anything because you're just so away from everything. You know, you're very open. So